Thank you for
We
joining.
are live.
Yeah, a very good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining today. As always, as every day, it's 8 p.m. and one of the Foxy committee chairpersons is here with you. And today, 27th of the month, is the turn of Foxy No to War committee, and I'm Dr. Kiran Mahi, chairperson of the Foxy No to War committee, here with yet another guest. Today, it is from our own Foxy fraternity. And today marks the 333rd episode. It is unbelievable. And for us individually also, this is my last and 11th podcast, which we have done many of them with legends in the women's health and women's empowerment. Most of them have been live, and Madam Sunita had joined all of them, whether recording or in live. I think everyone can understand what a hectic schedule Madam has. But despite that, we had her presence for every podcast. Thank you for that, Madam. And let me first begin by introducing Sunita Madam. She's
No,
president.
my introduction, no, Kiran, my, please.
Yes,
please.
your work this year especially speaks for itself, Madam. Everybody is a witness to that. So without much ado and wasting
Kiran,
time,
you are one of my best chairperson.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your guidance.
You are so dependable. I have never worked with you before, Kiran Mai, but during this Calcutta incidents of raping, I just observed you so closely because being a president-elect, I was in all the mails, and the way you worked for that, I realized this girl is of different breed and I should use her. And believe me, Basab, so many programs, so many things I told her. I gave her a responsibility and she has done beautifully those, including my first Arogya Yoga Yatra to Tirupati was Kiran Mai's responsibility. I'll never forget because it turned out to be one of the best start of that kickstart of Arogya Yoga Yatra. Coming to you, Basab, thank you so much for coming on a Foxy platform. You are one of the best friend I have. This is a Foxy where you just have to close eyes and think of, and you have hundreds of people who are so close to you. And you realize that Foxy has given you many more things. But one of the best things Foxy has given you is lifelong bonding with so many of friends all across country. And I think that is the biggest wealth of all of us, that overnight we can be 2 o'clock in the midnight. My brother was in Kanyakumari and he had some leg injury. He called me. I said, just 20 minutes, Nagarkoil, go to Dr. Selva and you will be treated like a king. And same happened. And her husband being an orthopedician. So this is what Foxy is, a big family of now 47,000 gynae. And Basab, I'm very sure by the time you become a president, we'll be crossing half-century gynae with us. And I can't imagine where the Foxy would have gone by that time. But thank you once again coming for a very important project of ours, Gyan Pravah. Totally, it was on the shoulder of my chairpersons. Otherwise, all my projects, the control was with me. And here it was in the hands of chairperson. Either they will do or they just, as few past presidents said, they don't work. Then I said my project will flop. But believe me, Basab, everyone is a diamond in my cap. Everyone in my crown, I must say. They always came out. And their first broadcast, if they hear, and today 11th podcast they will hear, they themselves will realize their level of confidence, the way with the pause they are talking, they're interviewing, it's way, way different. Because I'm joining the viewers link to listen to both of you, and I wanted complete limelight to be taken by the chairperson. So I'm out from the picture and I'll be listening from viewers link. Thank you once more, Kiran Mai, for choosing Basab. I'm really glad for it.
Yes,
thank you, dear.
For the final podcast, I'm also very happy to have
Century.
Thank you.
Thank you, Basab. And thank you, Kiran Mai.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So before we begin, I think Dr. Basab Mukherjee is someone who we all know very well, and he doesn't really need an introduction. But to formally introduce, he has been the vice president of Foxy, and before that, he had been the Family Welfare Committee chairperson, and he has been to talk about his early education and career in the prestigious Christian Medical College, Vellore, both MBBS and MD, and he has been shaped by the guidance of his father, and also the CNC Vellore, and then at RCOG, MRCOG. And I think from the very beginning, he had been I think as far as I have known Foxy, I've been listening to his lectures, and has been one of the top, Foxy stalwarts, or people to whom the halls flock, and everybody wants to listen to him. And he has that kind of very friendly and very affable image also. And he is, apart from being an academician, what we really like about Dr. Basab is that his interest in the public awareness campaigns, issues, and every social issue which impacts the women's health, whether it is family planning, whether it is safe abortion care, whether it is violence against women, whether it is violence against healthcare workers. So many issues. He has always stood up. He has done a lot, given almost equal importance as much as he gives to the academic part of his career, practice, and all. And of course, when I went through his detailed CV and the website, which was very beautiful, he's been part of lot of organizational work. He has represented Foxy in many, many forums. Has represented FIGO, or international organization, and hundreds of involvements, right from local, regional, national, and international, in the academic platforms, and lot of awards. I'll not go into many of the listing out of the details. And a few important things are FIGO Regional Coordinator for Southeast Asia for the Committee on Prevention of Unsafe Abortion, and very impeccable, and a lot of learning we can do as the president of Bengal Obstetric Gynec Society, sir. Been observing your work as the president there also, and then as in the organizing team of one of the best AICOGs that we have had at Kolkata. We can never forget that. So with all this, I think we are ready to go, sir, so that we'll have a longer conversation. People have had, spoken to you, they know you, but this perspective is mainly as we look up to as the future leader, with lot of fresh perspectives. So we would like you to throw some light and share your thoughts.
Thank you, Kiranmai. Thank you for having me. First of all, a very warm welcome to all the viewers who have logged in here. It's absolutely a pleasure and an honor to be here and to be along with you in this in this forum. And I thank Dr. Sunita for bringing this thing up, because every president brings some fresh ideas to the table, and this was totally fresh. Having a podcast every day over the year, and using the 32 committee chairs and giving them a one each to do per month, and people coming forward and having it done, it's absolutely remarkable. And some of the people that you've got over the year has been absolutely stalwarts in their field, and something which the learnings have to be taken forward. I think some of the people who you have got are really, they would have given some pearls of wisdom, I'm sure, and that's something which we have to have some learning points from that. I think that's important. Just having the podcast, archiving it is not enough, but sometimes some points are things which should be disseminated, and it has to spread out to the larger community. Kiranmai.
So, share with us your, formative years, especially at Vellore. I know you're very fond of
Okay.
Vellore.
Yeah, everybody is fond of their alma mater, Kiranmai, so I'm no different. So I was a very much of a nerd. So I never did nothing much of socializing in my school days. So it was mainly books and academics and nothing else beyond that. Hardly any public speaking. Yes, some of the debates and quizzes we were interested in, But class 12, we gave the entrance exams and got in some medical colleges. And Christian Medical College Vellore came as a surprise in 1990. And we were some of the few people who got in. There was a small batch of 60 people, 31 guys and 28 girls. One had left later. So there were 59 of us, and it was becoming a small knit community. It was very close, and we still have very strong relationships with all the batchmates. We recently had our reunion, 35 years, and there were 51 of the 59 that had attended that. So after 35 years, 51 of 59 is really speaks volumes of the connect that the batch has for the MBBS batch. Then postgraduate, yes, it went on in the same way. And yes, Vellore is very close to my heart. We recently had the Gynae alumni in Vellore, where I was able to spread some Foxy Gyan to them, because Vellore, they do not have so much of idea about Foxy. Recently, there are some people who are coming to the Foxy conferences. Dr. Gigi, Dr. Swati, Dr. Manisha are some people who are coming down to the Dr. AB had been there before, but now they don't know much about Foxy. And so trying to tell them what Foxy is about, how much of work we do, how much of academia we can spread together, I think is important for any prestigious medical college, that being AIMS, JIPMA, and also PGI Chandigarh or Vellore, for that main matter. So they must understand that Foxy is a vibrant body. It has enormous potential, and if we handhold together, we can go places.
You would be the best ambassador for that, I think.
In CMC Vellore, that would be one, but I'm sure there are many more. And so if you just look around, Kiranmai, there are, I guess, so many people all over the country who represent their own medical colleges and who can bring much more
Exactly, sir.
potential to the table. Foxy is enormously untapped also. Though we are
True.
trying to get the best of the best, there is many people in many corners of this country who have not been brought into Foxy or haven't been utilized the way we would really like to do them.
That's a very valid point. Very true, sir, I think. I mean, even I feel the same way. There are so many whose potential has to be tapped, who have to come in more actively into the organization. So,
Yeah,
at
so
first,
being 47,000 members plus, as Dr. Sunita was mentioning, it brings an enormous challenge to be inclusive. And all presidents in their own capacity try to be inclusive, try to involve everybody. And that somehow always doesn't work. And some people think that Foxy is not for me. Foxy is for somebody else, or a few people govern Foxy. Foxy is not for it's just a few people who work on that. It's not true. Foxy is only for them who gets interested in their work, who knows about the organization, who loves the organization, and the connection is the bonding and the friendship, Kiran. That's what Dr.
not only that,
Sunita
sir,
said.
I mean, I can say of my 3 years especially, there is a lot of scope and so
Oh,
much to do, so much to learn, lot of things. I mean, lot of connect. And as Madam said, and you feel that you have a family member in every state.
absolutely. You know
That's
whom to refer. You know
beautiful.
whom to refer your patients
Yeah,
to. So if
of
somebody
course.
wants to have, like in Bengal, there's a lot of Bangalore people. So in
Yeah,
Bangalore, there are at least 10 people who I can refer to my patients. And then which part of Bangalore do you come from? Mumbai, same. So every state, every city, you have friends who you can connect with and send your patients. Or if somebody's in trouble or someone has a problem, you can always get in touch with them. So I think that is Foxy brings the bonding, the friendship, and the fellowship, and that is what the pull is after some time. It's not giving a great talk and having a full hall and everybody clapping in the end, or you have a standing ovation. That's all good. That's fine. But better is connecting with friends, talking to people, having a drink together, having a laugh together, just spending some time together. That is what your connecting Foxy is. And that's what brings us to all these conferences, the CMEs, the smaller gatherings, the bigger gatherings. That is something which is enormous, and it becomes your second family, your third family, sometimes your first family. And that's how Foxy connects, and Foxy gets addictive. I think after some time it's opium. That's what we call you just get addicted
true.
to Foxy,
Yes.
and some of us have.
You cannot get out of.
cannot get out of,
Right.
cannot get
When
Foxy
entry
out
is
of you.
done, yes. And also, what I have really found is, sir, the type of multiplication or magnification of the work that you intend to do is
Yeah.
enormous.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, what you
once
have
in, as a chairperson, you have a position in Foxy, you have a designation. It
platform,
becomes
you have
easy
a
to work.
platform,
It
yes.
becomes easy to work as a platform. As a
Your
member, it's not
followers and
difficult.
viewers are like,
Yeah. So
yes,
as a chairperson, and that is where you do the maximum work in Foxy. So I think personally, if you ask me, there are two times you do work. One is as a chairperson, and one is as a president.
president.
So there is the two
Yeah,
times you do work. The rest of the times you're
really
just
work hard.
hanging around. No, but I think we can't forget our administrative officers. Our, of course, the Secretary General, the Treasurer. They
Like
do a wonderful job. Dr.
24 by
Subarna
7 job.
at the helm of it. I must congratulate all of them. They are absolutely selfless people to spend years in Foxy
Yes,
and moving up the ladder slowly. I absolutely full of admiration for the administrative team of Foxy, headed by the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, the Treasurer, and the Joint Treasurer. So they are very admirable people, and they have a lot of sacrifices to use that ladder and to go up the Foxy ladder. So I have my all my respect to them all points of time.
yeah. So coming back to again your entry or journey in the Foxy, who has inspired you? Was there
So,
any senior family member? Of course, I've met your father, and I
mm,
also understand there is a great role of him shaping you or his influence. So, what has made you enter? You have entered at a very early stage, I think,
yeah.
right?
So dad, of course. So initially, so the Foxy connection started with the quizzes. So the first we appearance in Foxy was in 1999 in Lucknow when we represented CMC Vellore as a South Zone finalist in the quiz. And that was 1999. We came last in the finals, but we spent time in Lucknow. And I also had a room to share with Dr. Das Gupta of Jamshedpur, the famous Dr. Das Gupta. I didn't have a room there. Of course, I was just a young PGT, and that time he was very. He had helped. He had asked me that can you, if you want to stay with me tonight, then you can stay. So Dr. Das Gupta and me had shared a room in Lucknow and the Lucknow conference in 1999. And then I also saw Dr. Dasgupta write down notes in his on his on a small notebook about the important things he heard in the lecture throughout the day, just to make sure that he doesn't forget that and he it remembers. So there were very academic people at that time. So then Foxy slowly grew on me, and the three most mentors who I would like to mention, if you ask me, mentors in Foxy, the very initial days was Dr. Noza Sheriar, Dr. Ritu Joshi, and Dr. Mandakini Parihar, because they are the people who generally got me into the Family Welfare Committee. Because initially my interest was in the quiz committee. I was there interested that I wanted to do quiz, and they said, quiz, you can't contribute that well. If you really want to contribute in Foxy, you want to make a mark, why not family planning, family welfare? So then I was shadowing Dr. Ritu when she was chairperson for 5 years. Then I was shadowing her. I was working with her to understand what the committee is about. And then I stood for elections after that. Yes, luckily I was unopposed for that election. And then I was able to get into the committee 2013. So 2013, the committee journey started. But before that, you got noticed in 2007 at the AICOG in Kolkata, where we were not holding any posts or positions, but we were working like mad. So Bhaskar Pal, Bhaskarda, and myself, Bhaskarda had just 3 years. He had come down from UK. I didn't know him that well at that time, and I was just the boy running around and trying to do everything, whatever anybody told me, and some things you got your own stuff to do. So dealing with a lot of people in the venue, and ultimately you get noticed, Kiran. That's, I think, one thing which I would leave to a lot of young people. A lot of people are keep on wondering, how do I get noticed? How do I get acknowledged for my work? How do I get? So I think good work never goes unnoticed.
Yes,
I think
that
if
is true.
you are sincere in your work, if you are a hard worker, it will stand out. You just cannot disappear, or you do not have to grab some media attention by hitting your social media handles and post. You can do that, but you don't need to do it. You will be noticed. So good work is never unnoticed. So over the years, 13 to 15 was the family planning chairperson, then the ICOG governing council. That went to the now 2020. Came had some great friends on the way. Lot of traveling, lot of lecturing from the early days, from 2010 to 2020. Had been lecturing and traveling in different places. And as you said, as chair of the Family Welfare Committee, you have enormous scope to work with NGOs, different people at different levels, and then you have that grassroots level people. You understand the people who are doing work at the grassroots and making so much of difference, with as a doctor in an urban area you are not always able to do. So there you appreciate the people in the category C societies of Foxy, who have to take two trains and then reach an airport. Otherwise, you are going from one airport to another airport, and these people having to travel by car by 2 hours, 3 hours, and then reach an airport. So, category C societies of Foxy, which are in the lurks and corners of the country, these are places where you really need to reach, you really need to get your attention, and that's what Foxy is all about. So, Foxy is not just about the cities, not about the five-star hotels, not about the glitz and glamour. That's a part of it, but most of it is much beyond the cover. And that's
Into the
why the how
details.
manyata comes into important. The work that Preeti is doing with the paramedical workers, that becomes important. Those it's that's the essence of Foxy, where you can
Yes.
penetrate much deeper into the picture. And that's how you appreciate the last 5 to 6 presidents who have got these international NGOs have got the attention of them, and they are now funding some projects with Foxy. They've understood that this is a very reliable partner. This is so Jaideep Tank is one of the major leaders in that way. They've brought the attention to the organization. This is a no nonsense organization. This will do work. They have a big task for a workforce, and all of them will deliver as promised. So this is something I think which is of enormous value and has increased the brand and the brand of Foxy in the international arena.
Thank you, sir. And you also were the vice president during Dr. Shanta Madam's tenure.
Yeah.
And I remember you being, despite busy, with part of the core team of the Dhira module doing the school campaigns. And I've always thought it was very, very important message that you're sending across. Even for 16 days activism, you always did very impactful programs, especially in 2020, last year.
Yeah. So Dr. Shanta, we
That is
had.
something.
Yeah, so much of learning from Dr. Shanta. So again, a true leader, one person who I look up to, not just as my president, but as one of the great presidents which Foxy has seen. She brought so much to the table. She again so much of dealing with other NGOs, her international connections which she had in Figo. So much of learnings from her, so much of NGOs bringing into the picture, joint projects with Foxy, thinking of what else we can do, what we can do new, what we can do different, what we can do impactful, as you say, something which has some sort of a value. And those are things which Dr. Shanta had at all points of time was thinking, was trying to make a difference. And as vice presidents, we had to follow her cue and make sure that we all do together. And the gelling of the vice presidents is in every year is always very good. All the vice presidents do gel, and so did us in our year with Archana, Bipin, Kavita, and Fessy. All of us were all had a good time.
Lucky to be part of the team.
Yes, Kiranmai, we wonderful work we were. So team
Yes,
OGSH was there, and you were
so
very much
closely
a part of the
involved.
entire gang at that time.
Yes,
It was very a lot of learning. So that's what.
absolutely.
So when you are there in Foxy, you don't think of who is not treating you. You don't think of who is treating you how. I think the idea is generally is that I want to keep on learning like a sponge. So every time you interact with somebody, you learn something new. You get something to get inspired by something, and that's something which in Foxy is so good. So when you sit for the conferences, when you sit for the lectures, you see how somebody is doing something differently, which is nice, which is good, which you can reach out to. Then you can say that this is the good speaker for one of my webinars, this is the person I want to use for an orator as an oration in my conference. So this is something we keep on seeing, learning, and understanding from each other, which is great in Foxy.
So coming back to little more serious issues, like if you have to really name top 3 issues faced by women's health in our country, what do you see these challenges as? Are there any new emerging ones that you see along with the, existing old ones, or some things which we have really won over, or something we have achieved?
So I
What do you
think
feel over the
so.
past 10, 20 years?
So 10, 20 years, as I think all of us do agree that the non-communicable diseases have increased and
Okay.
that has grown beyond the infectious diseases.
Yeah.
So that is something which is truly kept center stage. And the other thing which has kept center stage, but not so much, is the mental health issues. So I think those are two areas where a lot of focus should be directed or generated, especially the non-communicable diseases. We now know that with obesity focus and the GLP-1 drugs which have come in, a lot of focus will be going on those drugs over the next decade possibly. So that is something which is a big focus area. But generally, menopausal health, in pregnancy, in adolescent health, there would be more awareness activities. There would be more use of digital technology. There will be more use of AI. People will be using more personalized devices for tracking their steps and for tracking their heart rate and tracking their possibly blood sugars and even an ECG. And those things are possibly the need of our more digital tools. So the terminology they use, Kiran Mai, is called femtech. Female technology is a big $1 trillion industry, and it is just growing because it is of enormous potential. So people are with startups of the different startups. There are startups who are doing into these and having apps created either to track your menstrual cycle, track the ovulation, track fertility periods, track something else, or your menopausal symptoms, how severe it can be, even PCO, endometriosis. So all those things are coming up in a digital format which you can handle yourself. So I think that's
One
something
is
which.
the digital revolution or the technology integration. And as you rightly said, NCD, and maybe can we look forward to elimination of cancer cervix in the next maybe
So
decade, or
yeah,
by 2030, the target that
so I think the projections are not in 2030 we will not have a cervical cancer Mukt
is
Bharat,
true. Yes.
but we are the drive of cervical cancer vaccines, especially in the private sector, has never been so vigorous as it is now.
Yeah.
So in the Bengal Society, as we speak, our next president, Dr. Zoha, has an ambitious plan of 2,500 cervical cancer vaccinations, which is going to cross and make around 3,000, 3,500. Even recently, I remember Sarfraz Kazi saying in Himmatnagar they had done a large amount of vaccinations, and and a lot of people, and just not, there are a lot of other societies who are engaging in cervical cancer vaccinations. So are the NGOs in the form of Rotary, Inner Wheel, Lions Clubs. A lot of people have got a thrust or a drive that, among other things, that cervical cancer vaccination, we have to fund it and try to get a good deal. It can either be through Serum
I think
Institute or with MST.
we definitely are seeing that momentum being built
Being
towards
generated.
genetics. Yeah.
But that
Thanks.
is not everything, Kiran Mai, because
Yeah.
cervical cancer Mukt vaccination is though it's primary prevention and possibly the first line. So HPV testing has to be done
Yeah.
more rapidly,
The
and we have
CNT, the colposcopies, and the pap smears,
we
everything.
have to do much more. We have to do
Has
much
to be
more. And the
fixed.
use of AI, the use of
Um,
AI, because if it's community testing, if it's self-testing, which there are a lot of people are talking about, you do not have enough of cytopathologists to do the work. You have to use
yeah.
AI. They will definitely, that'll be help us to screen mass population in a short period of time.
Sir, I was just going through your website and it was really very, very impressive. Actually, we were also talking about social media posts and all. I think instead of putting the energy into the social media posts of every one of your achievements or, your surgeries and all, I think building a very nice website as your website is, like, which is very patient friendly and lot of patient information leaflets or the questionnaires So, what advice in general you would give a young obstetrician who
Yeah.
wants to really build up their career as well as simultaneously grow academically and maybe in Foxy or in any other
So I
organization?
think my first advice to any young gynecologist who's watching this or hearing this is that you have to be patient. Patient, to have patience in the end. So being patient is very important. Probably we live in a world which is very restless and there's so much of distractions. We hardly have any focus. Like Kiranmay, you and me came from a generation where there was less distractions. If you
Distractions.
study, you can study and nobody
Yes.
will disturb you. Here, every 5 minutes there's something pinging on your phone, something happening. So the distractions have increased
The
massively. So the
attention
thing,
span has reduced a lot
attention
even for
span,
us, but
absolutely.
somehow we can get back to those old kind of, we can retrieve it, and if we want, we can focus definitely. We have
No,
learned it.
Kiramai, I think we all have to move on. Like we can't get what's gone. So now it's a different kind of.
Yes,
So
sir, of
you're,
course.
so you have to have those what we said noise cancellation headphones. So that
We
can be
cannot
put
say
on.
those days are good. We have to go back to
Yeah,
those days.
we can't
Never
say that
have.
because that's easy to say. But
Easy to say,
just
but it
keeping it
never happened.
simple, that was less distraction. So the for the young generation, first they have to be patient. Actually, the problem is sometimes they see the cream de la cream of the society and they think that this is where I have to achieve. He has achieved it in 30 years. I have to achieve it in 3 years. It's never possible. You have to wait. Your time will come, but it's not your time now. So that's number one. I think you have to wait. You have to give your patience. And next thing, I think the other thing in I think skill development in young generation versus old generation, clinical skills have definitely come down and will come down because they don't get a chance to do the same clinical skill work which the previous generation did. But surgical skill possibly will be better, especially MIS, minimal invasive surgery, and a lot will be much better in the new generation compared to the older generation. Older generation wouldn't have developed that amount of skill. But the other thing also missing in the young generation, which I feel with whatever I interact with the gynecologist, is empathy. Empathy is going slowly. People are taking things too much technical. I think that empathy that's something which is difficult to teach or difficult to generate, and that is something I'm a little concerned about the new generation of doctors, whether it's private medical colleges having less sensitive or I don't know how, or upbringing, or just again too much of distractions and social media. But empathy is going, and it's not the same in this generation as it used to be in one generation ago. I don't know what's wrong, where is it, but that's a little bit concerning. The rest
Yes,
of
that
it
is.
about, yeah, that's, I think that social media wise, I think social media wise, the present generation does much better than the previous generation. Yes, they know when to use Instagram, when to use Facebook. Hardly people use, they use other things. But the old generation uses Facebook. But Instagram they use, and Insta or Gram, whichever they call it, they do make a dent there. But that doesn't give you patience at the end of the day. Nothing better than word of mouth. So you
Word of
have to work hard. You have to sit in your clinics for long hours, sometimes waiting for long hours. You have to connect with your patients. You have to connect with other doctors for referrals at some point of time. But it doesn't come easy. There won't be, suddenly you won't get 10, 15, 20 patients in your clinic just sitting for 1 year or 2 years. You may need a longer period of time. And all of us do go through this. And there's no shortcuts. So if we, and the other thing I think which is a concern is the corporate hospital, corporate slaves, which a lot of young doctors would be bound to become in years to come. So you have to, if you want to make a dent, you have to make your own institution. You have to make your own setup. So if you work with corporate hospitals, they are there as long as they need you. When they don't need you, they will discard you. So the problem of corporate hospital slaves, which I say a lot of modern generation doctors are, is unfortunate. Again, it's all right. You are there in a hospital, but sometimes just one time there'll be somebody else who's smarter than you who will come, and then the entire focus will be replaced, and then it won't be you, it'll be somebody else. So you have to have your own space. You have to have your own clientele of patients. And if you reach that amount of level, then anybody will respect you. You can demand your own fees, you can demand your own charges, you are in a different level. But to reach there, it takes time and you have to be patient. See people around you, learn from people around you, but take your time and don't rush things, because rushing things and trying to hit the top very early is not advisable.
So that brings us again to the corporate versus individual practice. Again, violence against healthcare workers or individual setups being more vulnerable. These sort of things also make people, either choose a medical college or a corporate setup, or the small nursing homes these days. Even in Hyderabad, we don't see that many because it's either this or that. So where does it place, people who want to
Yeah.
establish their individual
So,
setup?
so it's easy to talk about your own setup, very difficult to do it, especially in big urban cities. In smaller cities, it's easier. Tier B, Tier C cities, a lot of people have their own setups. But in a Tier A city, like a big metropolis like Calcutta, like Hyderabad, it's quite difficult. So, where do you stand as far as violence is concerned or violence against is concerned? So, recently we have the incidents in Himachal Pradesh. Again, I think we have to go back to see how demanding the work schedules of doctors are, how pathetic the staying conditions of doctors are, to basically judging about how they feel and how they speak, and then communication, and you're trying to teach them something else. First of all, I think those are things which have to get some importance. IMA is there. I think Foxy also must come forward and shake that image about Foxy. We won't talk about other things. We have to talk about junior doctor work rosters. We have to talk about the pathetic hostel conditions in which they are, where they stay, how many people stay in a room, whether they get a toilet or not, what kind of food they get. Though, if you say that those are not our botherations, I don't think that is correct. So I think there is somewhere where Foxy, being Foxy, has some sort of a say in this. You said if we are an academic body, we only make guidelines, we don't talk about this. That isn't exactly the way forward. I think you leave this to IMA. This is Foxy's work. That's IMA's work. I think we are in a position of power now to have some more say than what we were a few years ago. So we can definitely, the younger generation, we can again bring them under our wing. Yes, we're having the wonderful Eagle programs. Sejal is leading that. It's wonderful endoscopy in many medical colleges. Yes, we're having a lot of PG teaching programs. Dr. Ashish and Ashwath is leading that. They're having a lot of PG education and teaching programs. That's all
Yeah,
wonderful. So
we
that
used to
we are
have
doing.
wonderful portals, even I thought,
So
to look
academic
into that.
programs, skill
Yeah.
transfer programs, good.
So
But
if Foxy is keenly interested, or at least has the image of being interested in the welfare of these young doctors, in all sorts of welfare, I think that is somewhere we can do more work, or focus more on.
yeah. So mental health, like mental health, Kiran Mai, we do almost nothing. So mental
Nothing.
health, the only time we did something on the
Actually,
mental health
sir,
when
to
the
tell
doctor
the
from Rajasthan had committed suicide. That's the only time we looked at mental health. We said, no, that's not good. It should not have happened. All those things. And then again, as a Foxy, what have we done for mental health for young doctors, for our colleagues? So that's again, you say that's not our botheration. If that's not our botheration, what is our botheration? So I think there is some
not only
things which
that,
we can
sir,
do.
the senior junior relationship also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there are
it's
there are
almost
2 points.
internalized the violence.
Yeah.
It's our
So
fraternity itself which indulges in this. That
that's
image is
that's
there.
that's
At least we want.
unfortunate. Every profession you'll have dark sheep. So we have, so pointing one finger to others, we have four fingers in our own direction. Yes, we have dark sheep in our own community. We can't say. But the 2 points I wanted to mention. One is the point on mentorship, and one is on group practice. So just decreasing your mental health is two things which I think we can do in Foxy, which are not very difficult things. One is mentorship. So a lot of senior doctors are around who would love to be mentors to juniors. A lot of juniors are around who would love to be some sort of a mentors to seniors. How exactly it works, whether they work together, whether they sit in clinic for a couple of days, whether they just have a chat over the phone or in person, we can work out the logistics. But mentorship programs are something which is of immense benefit to a young postgraduate who is struggling, to a just a person who's passed out and doesn't know what to do. These are some things which little bit of hand holding we can do as an organization. So we have to look in some of that areas. The other thing is about group practice. I think that is something which is totally not done much in India, but you have to do it, especially in a heavy obstetric unit. It has to be, you can't be on call 24/7 and just be there. You will get burnt out very soon. So you think that I'm he man, I'm she man, I can do everything, whatever. That doesn't work. You will be burnt out very soon. So you need a support around you. So some sort of a group practice, some sort of people working together, subspecialists, or even the same specialist, OBGYNs, general OBGYNs, is possibly the need of an hour, which can give a lot of mental rest to a lot of people, because you just can't get too much involved in your profession, because you will get burnt out, you will not. And that's what Foxy also does, Kiranmai, because once in a while when we break from our profession and go for Foxy
Oh,
conferences, Foxy CMEs, it gives us a necessary break, because you don't think about your patients at that time, your family worries are in the back, you just think
you are
about
seeing a
something being
bigger world, a different world,
bigger
and
world, different world, and that's
and you
nice,
realize
that's good.
everybody is in the same boat, and we need not take everything so seriously. And
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that is good. That is nice.
sir, as an offshoot to this violence against healthcare workers, maybe of course, Abhaya is something which we could not forget, and you all like Kolkata had done relentless. It was so again after that also we had seen quite few incidents in campuses or campus related. At least one sexual assault which happened outside the campus, a lot of things. And so I think when we are focusing on the safety of the and the welfare of the young postgraduates or junior doctors, maybe Foxy should specifically maybe put some more thought into the young
So the
girls.
basic, I think the basic, Kiranmai, the idea this should go is that you have to create a lobby. Nothing works without a lobby. A lobby of influential doctors who can influence the parliamentarians, who can influence the judges, who can influence the ministers. So this is something which is again has to be done by senior past presidents who are close to a few people. They have to get together, and Foxy has to form a lobby, because unless you have a law and unless you implement that law, nothing is going to happen. So first you have to have a law preventing violence, and not just to doctors. You have to healthcare workers. If you have doctors, people will say doctors are elite
No,
class.
no,
Have it to
healthcare,
healthcare
BS,
workers.
it is
You have it to
BIHC
do not have it
W.
for doctors. Have it healthcare. So include nurses there, include your
BIHCW.
group 4D
Yes.
staff there. So against any
Everybody.
healthcare workers, you have a bill passed, not against doctors. If you have limited to doctors, they'll say that this is only for doctors. They are all elite class. They're not my vote bank. I'm not bothered. It's but have it for healthcare workers. So some vote. So prevent any violence against healthcare workers at their workplace. And that is something, again, it won't come easy, but you have to lobby for it. It's years and years of lobby. I remember the for the DMPA injection, for the that took a long time. At least 10 years we were lobbying for the DMPA to be included into
No,
the
now
public
it's a
sector.
reality.
It took a long time. And in one of these meetings, there were people standing outside who wanted to protest against it. This was 2012, 13 we're
Oh,
talking
I
about. And
remember,
it
sir, yes.
so those were so there was a lobby. There was a lobby from this advocating reproductive choices. Dr. Shobha will know about this group. So this is a group of NGOs who were continuously engaging with the government, with ministers, with talking about it and all. Similar, we have to do. The Supreme Court will rule it down once, rule it down twice, but they have to agree. Healthcare workers, if they're not protected, no country is safe. So you have to protect your healthcare workers. We should not be having a committee of violence against doctors in Foxy. That's really pathetic. That means India cannot protect their own doctors, which is not right.
So I think, sir, two or three issues that you have really brought out. One is the mental health, and the other is mentoring the young doctors, and then VAHCW. These are the two, three issues. I think when you are in that position of being the president, Foxy, I wish we would
Let's see.
really
Let's see.
focus.
That's Kiran, that's not important. But like at our position, like we have a voice which has the ears of the presidents or the ears of the leadership of Foxy. Being they here for years, at least a couple of decades, we know the leaders of the next few years very closely, and we are fortunate in a position to have their ears, so they would listen to us. So these are issues which I'm sure any president who would be coming up would possibly think of beyond the very integrating academics which they do. And the other thing I think which comes here is the issue of research. I think that is something which we woefully lack, even being
Black.
there. And the reason why we lack is because we don't fund it enough. So unless you fund it from Foxy, the you cannot have a published good research. So you should, more than any other committee, should be a research committee who would give to CTRI, establish the trials, use it for 1 or 2 years, get that funding done, and to take it from there. So that is something which I think we are, of course, lacking. The other shortcut is to use the PG thesis, the postgraduate thesis work which they're doing in medical colleges. Make sure that they do something more innovative, or some people in the same thesis can be done by 5 different people from 5 medical colleges, and you can pull up the data and pull it up, and so you can get a larger
Science center,
database. So
yeah.
all those things can all be done, and I'm sure people are thinking about it, but possibly it may not be done in the larger frame of mind, because ICOG is in a perfect position to do it in that way.
It's woefully lacking in medical colleges also, sir. The research.
Yeah, Dr. Sheila has some ideas. Again, Parag did everything was done well, but I guess this is the part which it needs funding. It needs funding which Foxy has to earmark. I don't think you can get it from you can get it from medical companies, but it'll be biased, that study. So it has to come from our organization. It's not that we don't have it, but we don't earmark it for these particular events. So this is something which we have to think up.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And then finally, I think we have covered most of the questions that I could think of. Then to come to our last, maybe final, yeah, before we come to that final question, again, you are in a core group of the next, the president, incoming president, was Bhaskar Pal, sir. And we were really, excited about the Reach CMEs, reaching out to all the societies. And would you like to share some things about,
Yeah.
how
So,
the
so
next year
this is the
is?
biggest project which Dr. Bhaskar Pal is leading. So, I just tell you how it's working for people who are listening. There are 1,200 CMEs which are planned over different parts of the country. So we were in touch with the state societies, and the societies were giving the request of the 25 subjects which were there placed, which ones they were interested in. And there are companies who are sponsoring or who are partnering with us for each of these CMEs. And this is going to be held. The idea is to hold CMEs in every nook and corner of the country. So, category C societies, small societies, which possibly hardly any people ever visit, would have
Yes.
a CME, provided they are interested. Provided they're interested is a very important thing. A lot of societies lack interest because either they are busy with their clinical work, or they're indifferent about Foxy. And that is something which we really try to shake the tree and try to get them enthused. So there are state coordinators, zonal coordinators like yourself, Kiranmai, who would be able to enthuse the smaller societies, especially that here this is Foxy bringing quality academic programs at your doorstep. All you need to say is yes to it, get a reasonable attendance from your society, and have it held. So brings academia to your doorstep, and this is something unique. The last time it was done was Dr. PC Mahapatra launched a large amount of CMEs all over the country. Here, Dr. Bhaskar Paul is trying to make it much more organized in a way. Dr. Poshali, Dr. Bidisha, Dr. Shoma, Dr. Sita are all trying to make sure that they all have a structure. And the first quarter CMEs have already, there's a schedule which is getting ready as we speak, and more CMEs to be joining in the next couple of weeks. So by the time we start inauguration, we would have the month of January, February, March definitely ready for the CME schedule. So we're very excited for these REACH CMEs. So the planning started 6 months ago when the module creation was done. A lot of people were sent asked to prepare PPTs, and then the module creation was done, and now the execution is going to be starting, and the planning is reaching nearly 100% as the planning is concerned. Now the execution will be matter, but it's very exciting. It's something which he cherishes because instead of having big fat conferences, Dr. Bhaskar Pal's idea is to go deep into the interiors and make sure that every Fogsi society, however small it is, gets at least one CME, maybe more than one, depending on their interest in the coming year.
Looking forward to the next year, sir. It would be really what Dr. Bhaskar Pal and all the team in the Bengal Society, we have seen the conference. So we are looking to much more sleeker, more innovative, and more organized way. And I mean, less on fancy and more on lot of productivity. Yes. Thank you, sir, for sparing your time and sharing your thoughts. And it's always been a pleasure working with you, interacting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirami. Thank you. Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.